There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was blameless and upright, one who feared God and turned away from evil. There were born to him 7 sons and 3 daughters. He possessed 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 female donkeys, and very many servants, so that this man was the greatest of all the people of the East. His sons used to go and hold a feast in the house of each one on his day. They would send and invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And when the days of the feast had run their course, Job would send and consecrate them, and he would rise early in the morning and offer burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, "It may be that my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." Thus Job did continually. So the things that I've chose to highlight here was Uz, the place Job is from. Kind of lets us know that he's not a Jew, he's not from Israel. It says that Job, what I've highlighted here is Job was blameless, upright, feared God, and turned away from evil. And kind of because of this, he was blessed by God. He had 7 sons, 3 daughters, 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 female donkeys, many servants, so Job has been blessed for his good work. God has kind of just abundantly gave Job the blessing. And then it looks like Job's sons, he raised his children good. They get together, they invite their sisters over, they eat and drink with them, spend family time together. But then when this feast was over, now it doesn't say whether Job was invited to the feasts or not, so maybe he wasn't and he didn't know what was going on exactly there, because it says that he would rise early in the morning and offer burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, "It may be that my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." So that leaves me to believe that maybe he wasn't there, didn't see what was going on. And then lastly, I highlighted Job did this continually, just to kind of magnify the point that this is what Job does. Job is a man of God. But what we're about to see in this next chapter, as it's kind of highlighted here, this is the ESV translation. Satan is allowed to test Job. So this is getting into a little bit different. We've learned about Job, we learned what Job's got, and we learned what Job does. So now this next scene I'm going to read, it takes place in heaven. So, now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. The Lord said to Satan, "From where have you come?" Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro on the earth, and from walking up and down on it." And the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man who fears God and turns away from evil?" Then Satan answered the Lord and said, "Does Job fear God for no reason? Have you not put a hedge around him and his house, all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and he will curse you to your face." And the Lord said to Satan, "Behold, all that he has is in your hand. Only against him do not stretch out your hand." So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. The things I chose to highlight here that stuck out to me were the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also. So the Lord kind of asked Satan, "Hey, what have you been up to? What are you doing?" And Satan basically says, back and forth, just wreaking havoc down on earth. And the Lord says, well, what about Job? Well, what's your impression of Job, basically? And then he reaffirms what we read in the first paragraph, that there's none like him, that he is in fact a blameless, upright man who turns away from evil and fears God. But then Satan challenges God and says, I've underlined, does Job fear God for no reason? And boxed off, no reason. Have you not put a hedge around him, his house, all that he has on every side? So Satan's basically saying, you've protected Job. He's safe from all sides. You've blessed Job. You've blessed the work of his hands. You've blessed his possessions so that they increase. But then here's the kicker. He says, but stretch out your hand, and I've boxed your because he's telling God, stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and he will curse you to your face. So Satan's basically asking the Lord to do something to test this faith of Job. And the Lord says to Satan, behold, all that he has is in your hand. Only against him do not stretch out your hand. So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. So Satan offers up to God that he should stretch out his hand and touch all that he has. And the Lord already has done that. He's stretched out his hand and he's touched all that Job has. That's why Job has 7 sons, 3 daughters, 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 oxen, 500 donkeys, and many servants, because God has reached out his hand and touched him. So the Lord basically says back to Satan, I give you permission. You can reach out your hand. Only against him do not stretch out your hand. Do not. So God is commanding Satan. He's giving him permission. He's telling him what he can do. He's telling him what he can't do. And he's telling him to use his own hand to do it. And then Satan kind of leaves the scene. And that's where we're going to stop for today. That was kind of a big chunk. The Satan allowed to test Job, the little header there, I feel like I should have highlighted allowed, because basically Satan asked permission from God, kind of challenged him and said, hey, if you put Job through these tests, he's going to curse you to your face. And God basically replies to Satan, you're on. Let's see what happens, buddy. Because God knows the beginning from the end. So he already knew this was another battle that he won. I'm not sure whether we're going to do this format. I kind of like having this up here. So I might try it a couple different ways. I'm trying to figure out what works best. So if you guys let me know what works best for you, then I'll try to accommodate that as I'm going through this stuff. Everybody have a blessed day.